that Yasharala come out every week to let the so-called Negroes, Native American Spaniards know who they are according to the Bible. When they say, call Allah, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua.
Call Allah, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua.
Right. Peace and blessings to the brothers and the sisters out there that teach His word and that watch and that believe in truth and sincerity. We're going to start out with what we start out all the time with our creed. Anachnawa Banyam Ha'aibad Abadayanawa Hagawala Ba'a Nayawa Lakalha Arataza Khaya Nasha'a Wa Shamwa Yahweh Hashawabnawa Hawa'a Yashayai Nawa. That is.
Good, huh?
This is Psalms chapter 16, verse 1. Preserve me, O Most High, for in thee do I put my trust.
Right. The Most High had preserved our nation and had preserved us because we put our trust in the Most High. We are the chosen people of the Most High Yahweh, the creator of the heavens and the earth. Go ahead.
O my soul, thou hast said unto the Lord, thou art my Lord. My goodness extendeth not to thee.
Right. Go ahead.
But to the saints that are in the earth, and to all the excellent in whom all my delight.
Read that again.
Verse 2. O my soul, thou hast said unto the Lord, thou art my Lord. My goodness, my extendeth not to thee, but to the saints that are in the earth, and to the excellent in whom is all my delight.
Go ahead.
Their sorrows shall be multiplied that hasten after another God.
Right. Those of our nation that seek to please another God or seek to worship another God, their sorrow shall be multiplied, man. That's why, you know, you in this world and we still here in captivity and you're sorrowful and you're hurting and you're going through all of this pain and distress in your life is because you're worshiping the wrong God. You're worshiping a pagan God. The God that this society worship is Baal. Goes all the way back, all the way back, all the way back to Nimrod and his wife. They worship the Queen of Heaven on Monday. On Sunday, they worship Baal, which is a false pagan God. Go ahead.
Verse 4.
Basically the sun. Go ahead.
Their sorrows shall be multiplied that hasten after another God. Their drink offerings of blood will I not offer,
Right.
nor take up their names into my lips.
Right. Is that all?
I'm going to finish it out. Verse 5. The Lord is the portion of mine inheritance, and of my cup thou manifest Salakia, and of my cup thou maintainest my lot.
Right. So right now we're in the week of pawar. All right? Or PURIM. Go to Esther verse 9 to 17. Now when you deal with pawar, or what you call PURIM, you see the story where as a nation of people we were in captivity. And our enemies made a plan to destroy us. But the Most High seen fit to raise up the Queen Hadassah or Esther and Mordecai, or he called Mordecai, to deliver us. All right? And in that deliverance, we praise the Most High. And we sent gifts and food to the poor. Now in this week, we want to focus on, we're going to teach about the poor of our nation and how we're supposed to deal with them, because it made specific mention that we sent gifts and we gave portions of food to the poor. Now, Purim is from the word pawar, which means peace or lot. All right? It means a piece, a morsel of food maybe, but most importantly, it was the lot that was given to us was turned around onto our enemies. And they were slaughtered and killed. Now in this world, we are the poor. Our nation are the poor of this world. Our people are the poor of this world. But even amongst our people, there are people poorer than ourselves, the needy and the homeless. We got to be mindful of the needy and the homeless and be mindful of their lot, because that can easily be our lot or our piece or our pawar. Yeah, bring this out first.
Deuteronomy 7:6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you because ye were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he has sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
Right, so, but we're going to get into it later about how our nation was basically poor and destitute. But go ahead and read that out.
This is Esther chapter 9, verse 17. On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested day, and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
Right, go ahead.
But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th day thereof, and on the 15th day of the same they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
Hold on, so just a quick note, that word Shushan in the Hebrew is Shashan. Okay, S-H-A-W S-H-A-N, Shashan, Shashan, which is lily, which is that star that y'all said, that thing y'all said was a star that was wicked. It's the shape of a lily. That's the name of the city, Shashan. All right, it's many times in the scriptures, but go ahead.
Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting,
Go ahead.
and a good day, and of sending portions one to another.
Right.
And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly, as the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning into a good day.
Exactly, and that's what the Most High is going to do again to the whole nation on a bigger scale. Go ahead.
That they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another and gifts to the poor.
Right, it says, and they sent gifts to the poor. Go ahead. Now, in this, well, go ahead, we can get into that.
And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them, because Haman, the son of Hammedatha, and the Agitite, and the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast Pur, that is the lot, to consume them and to destroy them.
He had passed a lot to destroy them, so that's why we call it pawar or PURIM. Go ahead.
But when Esther came before the king, He commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows. Wherefore they call these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore, for all the words of this letter, and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them, the Jews ordained and took upon them, and upon their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing, and according to their appointed time every year.
Right, so when you look at that word, Por in the Hebrew is abayawan, all right? It means, it's from age 14 in the sense of want, especially in feeling destitute, beggar, needy, poor man. Go Leviticus 25 and 35. So let's take a deeper look, being that we're in the week of Pawar or Purim, to this whole issue with the homeless and how we're supposed to deal with the homeless. Are we supposed to just forsake them because we want to say they're wicked, or because they're not in the truth, so to speak, or because, like, are we supposed to forsake them? How are we supposed to deal with them according to our laws and our precepts? Go ahead.
Moreover, this is Leviticus chapter 25, verse 45.
35.
So 35. And if thy brother be waxing poor and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him, yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee.
So if your brother fall into decay, become poor, you're supposed to help your brother. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is going into the Jubilee. Going into the lands going back to certain people and money going back, and a 7-year release of debt, which all it is geared towards the poor, the needy of our nation. Go ahead. That it? That was it? Go to go ahead, read your book.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 7.
Yeah, I got that next.
If there be among you a poor man of one of thy brethren within any of thy gates in thy land which the Lord thy power giveth thee, thou shalt not harden thine heart, nor shut thine hand from thy poor brother.
Read that one more time.
If there be any among you a poor man of one of any of thy brethren within any of thy gates in the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee, thou shalt not harden thine heart, nor shut thine hand from thy poor brother.
Keep reading.
But thou shalt open thine hand wide unto him, and shalt surely lend him sufficient for his need in that which he wanteth.
So if your brother, Israelite, is poor, and he asks of you, you're supposed to give him what he needs, what's sufficient. Don't mean you got to give him everything you got, but you give him what's sufficient for him, or what you can give. That's in our law. Now, like I said, it's also dealing with the Jubilee and what land and returning land and a 7-year debt release and everything like that. But this is in our law to take care of the poor amongst our nation. It also says in our law that the poor would never cease out of our land. Do y'all know any of the other laws where it said offhand? Like not to glean your whole field and all that?
Yeah, that's Leviticus.
You can find it, bring that out. If not, then we'll move on. Got it?
This is Leviticus chapter 19, verse 10.
Yeah.
And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and stranger. I am the Lord your power.
Right, read it one more time.
Read it. This is Leviticus chapter 19, verse 10. And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather any grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and stranger. I am the Lord your power.
Right, so you see a law within our laws about gleaming your fields, and not to gleam all of your fields, to leave it for the poor and for the stranger, man. All right? Read Leviticus 25 and 25.
This is Leviticus chapter 25, verse 25. If thy brother be waxen poor and have sold away some of his possession, and if any of his kin come to redeem it, then shall he redeem that which is his brother sold.
So you can see, like, as a nation, the Most High, like you're on the team, man. You're of this nation, and we gotta take care of each other within this nation. We gotta take care of our poor. Now why is it that the Most High is saying have these laws written in here for the poor? Why is that? Go to you got something else? Or?
Nah,
Proverbs chapter 10, verse 15.
Said to strengthen those that have none prepared.
What you talking about?
About the poor.
What you saying that?
Yeah.
You got it? Oh, you talking about the Ezekiel one?
Nehemiah.
Oh, read it then.
Nehemiah 8 and 9. And Nehemiah, which is the Tirshatha, and Ezra the priest, the scribe, and the Levites that taught the people, said unto all the people, this day is holy unto the Lord your God. Mourn not nor weep. For all the people wept when they heard the words of the law. Then he said unto them, go your way, eat the fat, and drink the sweet, and send portions unto them for whom nothing is prepared. For
Right.
this day is holy unto our Lord, neither be ye sorry, for the joy of the Lord is your strength.
Right, we're going to speak on that.
But it's basically the homeless. That's the poor. They don't have anything prepared for them, huh? See, you'll never read, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but you'll never read where the Most High say, like, fuck the poor, man. Like, just don't worry about them. It never worked that way. When the Most High said he loved Israel, it wasn't the fact that he just loved like a certain portion of Israel, just only the ones that got money and shit, or the ones that's only righteous. He loved the whole nation of Israel, man. And like the brother said,
It said all souls belongeth unto him, the righteous and the wicked, man. It said he cared for all alike. And I think it's Sirach, Wisdom of Solomon, one of those books. It says that he cared for the righteous and the wicked. And he had mercy on the righteous and the wicked. All right, you got that?
This is Proverbs chapter 10, verse 15. The rich man's wealth is his strong city. The destruction of the poor is their poverty.
Now we read that a lot. Like that's a shit. Bougie Bunton said the rich man's wealth in his city. The destruction of the poor is his poverty. We say that saying a lot. Like these people say that saying a lot. But have you ever thought about like what that really means? It means if you don't take care of your poor, your city's gonna be destroyed. It's gonna decay. That's what it means. Now why does it say that? Let's go to Proverbs 21 and 13. The destruction of the poor is their poverty. You don't take care of the poor, your city is going to be destroyed. It's going to go into poverty. It's just like how they shooting like niggas down. They shooting black people down. They had us in captivity. None of the Edomites, well, not really the Edomites stood up against that shit. They put us in slavery. Now what's happening to these Edomites today? Some of this stuff is starting to happen to them. They put the rap music on us and degraded the rap music. Now their sons are singing the rap music. Their sons are acting like quote unquote niggas because they promoted that behavior on us. It's the same thing. You don't take care of your poor, you leave your poor in poverty, you don't care about them, the same things that's happening to them is going to eventually get to you. Go ahead, Art.
This is Proverbs chapter 21, verse 13. Whoso stoppeth his ear at the cry of the poor, he also shall cry himself, but shall not be heard.
So they built their cities like America, and they got all the poor. Like you walk around downtown, you see a whole bunch of poor. You walk around like on Paramore by the stadium, by the Magic Stadium, you see a bunch of poor people. But guess what? If they not taking care of their poor, the Most High gonna destroy this. The Most High's gonna destroy this place. But not even just that. They're gonna destroy themselves, man. Proverbs 14 and 31.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 31. He that oppresseth the poor reproacheth his maker, but he that honoreth him have mercy on the poor.
Right, so if you see people reproaching the poor, oppressing the poor, not taking care of the poor, it shows that they reproach their maker. They don't give a damn about the Most High. Because the Most High cares about the poor and the needy, man, and the fatherless. All right? But when you see people taking care of the poor or trying to help the poor and the needy, that shows that they have a respect towards the Most High. Go to Proverbs 28 and 27. And I was thinking about this, right? It says that, but he that honoreth him hath mercy on the poor. So he that honors the Most High has mercy on the poor. Why? Because the Most High has mercy on us. We pray to the Most High to forgive us, to give us our daily bread, and to forgive us, as we forgive those that trespass against us. That's the prayer that Yahushua said to pray. So we asking the Most High to give us bread, to give us food, to give us substance. We got to be returning those favors to the poor, man.
Yeah.
We should have mercy on the poor because the Most High, we want the Most High. The Most High has mercy on us. The Most High has mercy on his nation. The Most High is merciful. The Most High loves the poor. Our nation is the poor. And he loves us, man. So we should love the poor of our nation. It also builds a strong nation, man. All right. You got something?
Yeah, I got a piece of it.
Oh, you got something?
Did you read Proverbs 22 already?
Proverbs 22. I was about to read 22 and 16.
No.
Oh, well, go ahead. I got 22 and 16 in a second.
Proverbs 22 and 9. It says, he that has a bountiful eye shall be blessed, for he giveth of his bread to the poor.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead. You got it. You got it out. Go ahead.
The word bountiful, it means like generosity or generous. It says, he that that hath a generous eye shall be blessed, for he giveth of his bread to the poor, man. So that's a man or a woman that's gonna be blessed because they have a generous eye towards the Lord's people, man. You gotta understand, yeah, they're classified as poor, but they're still his people. They're still your people as well. But sometimes we get into a little thing where it's like, oh, that's the poor, like they're their own fucking nation, huh? You know what I'm saying? Like they got them the Israelites, them the Amalekites, and them the Porites. That's how cats look at them. Like look at them like, you know, like they're just heathens and stuff, man. No, those are Israelites. You know, that's the ones that are Israel, but they're in a low estate. They're poor. And guess what? Like the brother said, that could be you one day. You gotta understand, many of those poor people actually used to be on high at one time, huh? Mm-hmm. What you'll understand is, you know, and if you're a person that's actually dealing with the poor, you know, and you are giving to the poor and stuff, and you hang around them a little bit, what you'll notice is that the poor, yeah, they don't have any money, but it's a little more than that. The thing about it is, you'll notice that a lot of the poor, especially our people, they basically gone through a psychotic break. So even if you were to give them back money, it's the mental, man. It's the mental aspect. So like I said, a lot of these people, they might have had like, you know, 100,000, 500,000, millions of dollars, but they went through a psychotic break. So you got to look at it like, hey, yeah, they're poor, but at the same time, they're just like you, because you can end up just like that. And that's just wisdom as well. Understanding that. All right, you got it.
But I was going to say, to add to what you were saying, it's heavy because if you look at, if you
29.
Just, 29?
Yeah.
29 and then 65 too. But if you look at, like, if you go deal with the poor, right?
Yeah.
Of our nation, because we deal with the poor of other nations in our nation. We look at the other nations, a lot of times they be in their mind. They just don't want to fucking work or some shit, especially Esau. You know what I mean? But when you go deal with our people, you'll notice that, like the brother said, a lot of times it's psychotic. They have psychotic behavior. It's a mental break. And more times, it's like we've been reading about the poor, and they've been linking poor, needy, and poverty together. More times it's from the poverty, man. And most of all, it comes from the psychological conditioning of slavery that we went through. So when you're looking at the poor, you're looking at the weakest of our people that couldn't deal with this shit, man. This everyday captivity that this man been putting on us.
We started.
That this man been putting on us. It's heavy because all of this shit is the curses, man. It's us being here in captivity, and this man done put this psychological conditioning on us from slavery. And you seeing a lot of them times them poor, like the poor over there in Paramore, you go look over there, it's a lot of drugs and poverty. And it's a lot of behavior that's not good for our nation that goes back to slavery. A lot of self-hatred and shit like that. So it's heavy. Like we shouldn't, as a people, we shouldn't hate the poor of our nation. Even though they may be wicked. They may have wicked thoughts. But a lot of this shit comes from the situation that we're in. They need help, man. Yeah. They need help. Go ahead.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 28. Deuteronomy 28 and 28.
Yeah, down here.
The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness.
Right, with madness, man. Psychotic. That's the issues that you see with the poor of our nations. They're not all the way there, man. Go ahead. We say the homeless. Go ahead.
The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of the heart. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways.
Looking for a way. Looking for the truth, man. Looking for a way out of this captivity. Go ahead. That in on that, or you want this more?
And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee.
Right, exactly. Go to the morning or you 65, yeah.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 65. And among these nations,
65 to 67.
and among these nations shall thy find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and a failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind.
See? Go ahead.
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fare day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life.
Exactly. Is that it? That's 67? Yeah, 67.
And in the morning thou shalt say, would Yahweh it were even, at even thou shalt say, would Yahweh it were morning.
You're just wishing the days go by. Man, I can't wait till the night comes. Man, I can't wait till the morning. Like you wishing your life just go by. You living in so much hell and shit like that. Go ahead.
For the fear of thine heart.
Oh, and that's the thing. And that's why a lot of people get on drugs, man. It's to escape reality. Whether it be, and I'm not saying weed is a drug, but people that just smoke weed all the time, they just, all the fucking time they gotta be high.
Got a definition for you to go with that.
With the weed shit?
The psychotic break.
Yeah, people that smoke weed all the time, they just stay high. More times they're trying to escape from the reality of life, man. People getting high on drugs, heroin, cocaine, and all that shit. It's because they're trying to escape the reality of this life, man, that they're living. This is the same thing. I wish it was the day. I wish it was the evening. I wish it was the morning. Like, you just passing life through. But go ahead with your definition.
It's the definition of psychotic break. It says, in terms of what it means, a psychotic break means losing contact with reality. Like the brother just said, man. See, it'll get to a point where, see, your mind has different phases, man. And what can happen is, that's why it's very, very important, man, to keep, try to keep stress levels down and you know, try to stay stable in certain type of
Stay out of depression, man.
Exactly.
Be happy.
Yep.
It said, blessed is he. It said, happy is he who trusted in the Lord, man. You ain't supposed to be depressed. Going into depression can lead you into what the brother reading about. Go ahead,
in terms of what it means, a psychotic break means losing contact with reality, such as hearing, seeing, tasting, smelling, feeling something that has no external correlate, i.e. hallucinations, or believing something to be true that is false, fixed and fantastic, or a delusion. So that's what it means, man. And that was one of the curses that also befell upon us, man. You know, and that's the funny thing about it too, is just because you may see a person and they look like they functional, don't mean that they ain't going through a psychotic break either, man. And like the brother said, you gotta stay away from that depressive state, man. You feeling depressed or you feeling, you know, down? Hey, read the scriptures. Ain't that what it's for? It brings you joy, man. Understanding what's to come, and the Most High got you. You know, all three of us could attest to that. We have joy going through these scriptures, man. Making sit downs, you know, feeding the poor, you know, strengthening them.
Keeping the holy days.
Keeping the holy days.
And
hey,
with your family.
I was just about to say that.
You're supposed to be happy.
No.
It said that you should be,
Like I said.
Solomon said that you should be happy with the wife of thy youth.
Right.
So to speak. And then in Psalms, it says the children are rewarded. It said children are a heritage of the Lord. And they're rewarded the womb. It said, happy is he whose quiver is full of them, man. So you should be happy about your family, or you should be happy about your children, you should be happy about your wife, and most of all, you should be happy about the Most High if you trust in him. There's no reason to be depressed, man.
Right.
And the Most High going to deliver our nation. We're at the end of this captivity, whether it be our lifetime or the next. We know at some time the Most High is going to deliver us and our people and set us up in our land and give us a new covenant. We know that the Most High is going to establish the earth in righteousness. There's going to be no more wars and sorrow. It ain't going to be no more poor amongst our nation. And that right there is a beautiful, glorious thing to be happy about. Yeah. Fuck this captivity, man. Fuck Esau. And all the other nations are enemies. We know the Most High fight for us. Just like he fought for us back in the time of Hadassah or Esther and Mordecai.
Right. Read the book of Judges, man.
Yep.
That's how I always look out for his people, man. That's a beautiful thing. That we have a God that actually don't, let us down, man. So there's plenty of things to be. I mean, you got certain cats that'll tell you, don't worry about your woman and leave your kids.
A wise man scarcely does smile.
Yeah.
They didn't say he don't smile. They didn't say he was mad all the time. I mean, he's supposed to be depressed. All right, got that.
Back in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 67. In the morning thou shalt say, would Yahweh it were even, and at evening thou shalt say, would Yahweh it were morning. For the fare of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fare, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see.
Exactly. Go back to Proverbs 28. Because we get into this, the rich man's wealth in his strong city. The destruction of the poor is their poverty. So we breaking that down, what that means. Proverbs 28:27.
This is Proverbs chapter 28, verse 27. He that giveth unto the poor shall not lack.
Read that again.
He that giveth unto the poor shall not lack.
So if you give to the poor, you're not gonna lack anything, man. But what's the flip side?
But he that hideth his eyes shall have many a curse.
But he that hideth his eyes shall have many a curse. Why does it say that? Because if a poor man asks of you and you don't give it to him and you got it, he could curse you, man. And the Most High may uphold that curse.
You get Proverbs 19?
Proverbs 19 or what?
Anything out of it?
I'm gonna get Proverbs 19 and 17 later. That's the only one I got. Read something out of there?
Nah.
Read that one more time, Mark.
This is Proverbs chapter 28, verse 27. He that giveth unto the poor shall not lack, but he that hideth his eyes shall have many a curse.
That's the flip side. You don't take care of your poor, you're gonna be cursed.
Right.
That's why the destruction of the poor is their rich people poverty. The city gonna be destroyed. It's gonna be cursed. But if you take care of the poor, then your city will be established and will last forever. That's later, but Proverbs 22 and 16.
This is Proverbs chapter 22, verse 16. He that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want.
It says, he that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want. That's why the destruction of the poor is their poverty, man. So all this, if you don't take care of the poor, it's gonna bring you to poverty and to want, and you're gonna be poor yourself. Proverbs 14 and 21. And then Ezekiel 16 and 49.
This is Proverbs chapter 14, verse 21. He that despiseth his neighbor sinneth, but he that hath mercy on the poor, happy is he.
He that despises his neighbor sinneth, but he that hath mercy on the poor, happy is he. Why? Because as we just read, the Most High is going to bless you. Go to Ezekiel 16 and 49.
This is Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 49. Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom, pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and the needy.
This was a part of the sin or the iniquity of Sodom. They didn't take care or strengthen the hands of the poor and needy, man. Just like in America, like in this city of Orlando, it's a lot of poor and needy walking around here. And they arrest the poor and the needy. They'll arrest them and put them in jail because they're asking for money. We got all these trees around here. None of this shit bears fruit. None of these trees bear fruit. They all trees for show. They're ugly trees anyways. None of them bear fruit so the homeless can have food. Proverbs 29 and 48. So, Proverbs 10 and 15.
What y'all carrying on for? Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro.
All right, so.
It's a lot of that, man.
Huh?
It's a lot of that, man.
Yep. Jehu. My people done, man. They need help, man. They need salvation like we need.
Yep.
But going back, Proverbs 10 and 15, the rich man's wealth is in the strong city. The destruction of the poor is their poverty. And as you can see from the scriptures we read, if you don't maintain and take care of your poor, your needy, and your homeless, at the end, what it ends up doing is it turns you into the poor, the poverty, and the needy. The city will be destroyed, man. Like a canker, that shit never stops eating, man. It can never be satisfied, man.
You ever notice, man, that everything got to be balanced in order for the kingdom to kind of thrive? You got to make sure your children is raised up in the proper way. You got to make sure the women are in line. And you got to make sure your poor is taken care of as well. You can't be lacking in anything, man, because it all runs together. It's like a cycle, man. Everything got to be oiled and run. That's why the Most High talks about balance so fucking much, man. It all has to be balanced out. If something is off, it's not gonna work and it's gonna crumble. Though it should, and it should too, because we got laws stating on what you're supposed to do. They keep everything running. You got it. You want?
Now let's look at the flip side of that, Proverbs 29 and 14. Let's look at the flip side. We explored dealing with the poor in a strong city, right?
Don't have any cash
And what happens if you neglect the poor? Now let's see what happens if you uphold and strengthen the poor. Go ahead, read that.
Proverbs what, 29?
29, 14.
Proverbs 29 and 14. The king that faithfully judgeth the poor, his throne shall be established forever.
Read it one more time.
The king that faithfully judgeth the poor, his throne shall be established forever.
So if you faithfully judge the poor, you take care of the poor.
There you go.
By extension, you take care of them. You taking care of the poor. It says that his throne shall be established forever. So it depends on how you treat the poor of your nation or within your borders. You take care of them, your throne gonna be established forever. If you neglect them and hate them, don't take care of them, your city gonna be destroyed eventually.
Got a precept for that too. Go ahead. This is Isaiah 11. I'll start at 3. And shall make him of quick understanding. Start at 2. And the spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding. All right. Right. The spirit of counsel and might. All right. The spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of the Lord, and he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears, but with righteousness shall he judge the poor.
Read that again, I'm sorry.
In the beginning.
Where you started.
All right. And 11 and 2, Isaiah. And the spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of the Lord, and he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears, but with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth, and he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked, and righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins.
Right, talking about Yahushua, right?
Yeah.
Right. All right, Proverbs 19 and 17. So we're gonna deal with the flip side of that coin of if you deal with the poor of your nation, your kingdom will be established forever. You take care of the poor and needy of your nation. Go ahead.
This is Proverbs chapter 19, verse 17. He that hath pity upon the poor lendeth unto the Lord, and that which he hath given will he pay him again.
Read it again.
He that hath pity upon the poor lendeth unto the Lord, and that which he hath given will he pay him again.
Right. So if you have pity on the poor, and you lend to the poor, the Most High will repay you, man. Okay? Proverbs 29 and 7.
This is Proverbs chapter 29, verse 7. The righteous considereth the cause of the poor, but the wicked regardeth not to know it.
See? that righteous king that judges the poor, it says that the righteous consider the cause of the poor. Then you consider their situation and what they need.
Right.
It said, but the wicked regarded not to know it. Then the wicked don't give a fuck to know what's going on with the poor, man. Proverbs 29, I'm sorry, Job 29 and 10. Go. Are you Toby? Oh, okay. Go.
This is Sirach chapter 10, verse 2. As Salakia, verse 3. An unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited.
Exactly. Job 29 and 10, read all the way to 16. Now this is a parable that Job is saying, all right? But listen to what he says within this parable.
This is Job chapter 29, verse 10. The nobles held their peace, and their tongue cleaved to the roof of their mouth. When the air heard me, then it blessed me, and when the eye saw me, it gave witness to me. Because I delivered the poor that cried, and the fatherless, and him that had none to help him.
Now check this shit out, right? Why is it that the Most High cares so much about the poor, the needy, and the fatherless, man? And the widows. You can't have a strong nation if you got children that's fatherless, man. It's not taken care of. You need your father to grow into be a man. Women need their father for them to teach them about how to deal with a man. Go ahead, bro. Yeah, all the way to 16.
This is verse 12. Because I delivered the poor that cried, and the fatherless, and him that had none to help me.
And him that had none to help him. That's what you're supposed to do. As in our nation, we're supposed to stand up for each other, man. For the needy, the homeless, the fatherless, and those that can't help themselves, man. That don't have any help. Go ahead.
The blessing of him that was ready to perish came upon me, and I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My judgment was as a robe and a diadem.
I was talking about righteous while I was talking about the poor. Read that last part again.
This is Job chapter 20. I'm going to start at 13. This is Job chapter 28, verse 13. The blessing of him that was ready to perish came upon me, and I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My judgment was as a robe and a diadem.
Right, now it's talking about righteousness when it's referring to taking care of the poor, the fatherless, and the widows. All right, keep going.
I was eyes to the blind, and feet was I to the lame. I was a father to the poor, and the cause which I knew not, I searched out.
Job 29 and like 10 through 16. Right, it says I was a father to the poor, man.
Job 31.
Yeah, it's a bunch of them.
Yeah. Oh, you got them already?
Nah, go ahead. I ain't got Job. I ain't put write that one down. Go and get it.
Yeah, Job 31 and 16. If I have withheld the poor,
start up a little bit.
Well, I had to start back far.
Alright. Wherever you gotta start up.
I'm gonna have to skip a little bit. I'm gonna start at Job 31 and 1. I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? For what portion of God is there from above? And what inheritance of the Almighty from on high? I'm gonna skip down to 12. For it is a fire that consumeth to destruction, and would root out all mine increase, if I did despise the cause of my manservant, or of my maidservant when they contended with me? What then shall I do when God riseth up?
And when it says cause, it means a case.
Yeah.
All right, just like you would go before a judge for your cause to plead your case or your grievance. That's what it's talking about. Go ahead.
Yep. If I did despise the cause of my manservant or of my maidservant when they contended with me.
And it's heavy too, because a part of the judgment of America is because they don't plead the cause of the poor. When the poor go before their judges, they condemn the poor being our nation, but even the poor, man, the people in poverty.
Right.
If you can't pay for a lawyer, you might as well hang it up. All right, you going. All right, because you're poor. A lot of times the police pull us over or pull certain of the population over because they know they can't fight them in court because they're poor.
There was a study on that. They say the reason why a majority of black people or whatever, are like, you know, the poor, they serve out longer sentences and they always wind up in jail because they don't have any money for any defense. So then they'll get these little bullshit as what they call them?
Public defenders.
Public defenders, and them motherfuckers don't give a fuck about shit. They just there because they have to. You know what I'm saying? So you're not gonna get the best defense. So for something real small, you know what I mean, you'll end up doing the brunt of your sentence. You know what I mean? And the poor, like the brother said, the poor, they don't be having no money to get any bail, so they just sit in prison, and then once it's time to go to court, they just assed out.
And they ignorant. They're ignorant of the law because the school system makes it that way. They know they got certain schools within our neighborhoods or within the hoods and shit like that where they know the poor live at. And these schools, they purposely underfund these schools and overcrowd these schools to the point that they don't teach these children anything. Right. Kids don't know how to come out of school, don't know how to read. They have a very low comprehension rate for reading. They don't understand how the society works. They can't read a law and comprehend it. Neither do they know where to look for the damn law. So they can't, when they go before these judges, they can't defend themselves because they don't understand the laws, how to read it or comprehend what the judge is even fucking saying. And they don't have the money to pay someone who is studied or competent in that area. Yep. And that's why you see America is decaying as we speak. And the Most High is judging this place, man. They don't take care of their poor and they're needy. They neglect them and they prey upon them, man. And that's what that going back to that Proverbs, the wealth of the rich man is in the city, but the destruction of the poor is his poverty. That's why you see America, the dollar is going down every fucking day. Alright? A lot of these normal white people, they used to have all the money, they fucking struggling almost like we are now. They starting to feel the pain we felt for years. Because they neglected the poor and the needy, man. The lower people of their society, they neglected them. Now they're feeling the pressures of that neglect starting to reach them now. Okay?
Yeah, who had the scripture?
Got it?
You want me to finish reading?
Well, finish what you had, yeah. What you had.
If I did despise the cause of my manservant or of my maidservant when they contended with me, what then shall I do when God riseth up? And when he visiteth, what shall I answer him? Did not he that made me in the womb make him? And did not one fashion us in the womb? If I have withheld the poor from their desire, or have caused the eyes of the widow to fail, or have eaten my morsel myself alone, and the fatherless have not eaten thereof.
Wait, read that again? Morsel of meat?
I gotta put that one on. That's 31 and 16. So what's the first one you read? What about despising the call?
Yeah, where you started at?
I started at 1, then I jumped down to 12.
Okay, and then 12? Okay,
12,
so you gonna stop at?
It go into a lot of shit right here, but I could stop at 18.
Nah, wherever you gonna start.
Alright,
You go ahead and read it. I can take it.
yeah. If I have withheld the poor from their desire, or have caused the eyes of the widow to fail,
It said, if I have withheld the desire of the poor, man, and then what they desire, what they want, man.
right,
Go ahead.
or have caused the eyes of the widow to fail, or have eaten my morsel myself alone.
Eating my morsel, meaning my meat, my food,
Right.
alone, man. You supposed to share it. Go ahead. Say something about the fatherless.
And the fatherless have not eaten thereof.
So I eat my meat alone, and the fatherless have not eaten thereof. Gotta take care of your nation, man.
Right.
Go ahead.
For from my youth he was brought up with me, as with a father, and I have guided her from my mother's womb. If I have seen any perish for want of clothing, or any poor without covering, if his loins have not blessed me, and if he were not warmed with the fleece of my sheep, if I have lifted up my hand against the fatherless, when I saw my help in the gate.
Right, like in Tallahassee, in the winter, it be homeless people dying because it be so cold, and they don't have like a blanket or some shit like that, or they got very minimal, and they'll end up dying because it had gotten too cold, man. When you got all these buildings and shit, so it's our job to help the homeless as much as we can as a nation. That's what we should be doing. That's why you see that contained in some of our holy days, especially since we're talking about pawar or PURIM. Go ahead.
If I have lifted up my hand against the fatherless, when I saw my help in the gate, then let my arm fall from my shoulder blade, and my arm be broken from the bone. For destruction from God was a terror to me, and by reason of his highness I could not endure. If I have made gold my hope, or have said to the fine gold, thou art my confidence, if I rejoice because my wealth was great, and because my hand had gotten much, if I have beheld the sun when it shine, or the moon walking in the brightness, and my heart have been secretly enticed, or my mouth have kissed my hand, this also were an iniquity to be punished by the judge. For I should have denied the God that is above.
Right, because it's contained in our law to help our poor brothers, man.
If I rejoiced at the destruction of him that hated me, or lifted up myself when evil found him, neither have I suffered mouth to sin by wishing a curse to his soul.
Right, shouldn't even be cursing the poor, man. I mean, so good.
This is Psalms chapter 72, verse 1. Give the king thy judgments, O power, and thy righteousness unto the king's son. He shall judge thy people with righteousness, and thy poor with judgment.
Right.
The mountains shall bring peace to the people, and the little hills by righteousness. He shall judge the poor of the people. He shall save the children of the needy, and shall break in pieces the oppressor.
Read that last part again.
Psalm 72, verse 4. He shall judge the poor of the people.
He shall judge the poor, meaning stand for the cause of the people. Go ahead.
He shall save the children of the needy.
He shall save the children, meaning deliver the children of the needy. Go ahead.
And break in pieces the oppressor.
Break in pieces the oppressor, man. All right. Go ahead, bro.
This is Psalm 72. I'm going to start at 11. Yea, all kings shall fall down before him. All nations shall serve him. For he shall deliver the needy when he crieth, the poor also, and him that have no helper. He shall spare the poor and needy,
Check
and
it
shall
out, but-
save the souls of the meek.
But check this out, and then read it again. Who is the poor and the needy amongst all the nations? When the Most High came to deliver someone from Egypt, it was us. We didn't have nobody to save us. We was in Egypt serving slavery, man. And the Most High came and saved us, man. So that's why we're supposed to treat our poor like that. When it's nobody to save that person, like it said in the law, if your brother fall into decay, you're supposed to go deliver him, man. You're supposed to go buy him out of slavery. You're supposed to redeem him, man. Like the Most High redeemed us when we were in slavery. Go ahead,
This is Psalms 72 and 11. Yea, all kings shall fall down before him, all nations shall serve him. For he shall deliver the needy when he crieth, the poor also, and him that have no helper. He shall spare the poor and needy, and shall save the souls of the needy. He shall redeem their soul from deceit and violence, and precious shall their blood be in his sight.
Right. All right. Proverbs 31 and 9. And then Daniel 4 and 27. A couple more and then we be done. I like 5 more scriptures.
This is Proverbs chapter 31, verse 9. Open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy.
Right? Daniel chapter 4, verse 27. We even got to break that one down. Daniel 4 and 27. And Ezekiel 18 and 5.
This is Daniel's chapter 4, verse 27. Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee, and break off thy sins by righteousness, and thine iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, if it may be a lengthening of thy tranquility.
Going back to, you have mercy on the poor, sins, it washes away sins, and it said that in Proverbs 29 and 14, that his throne shall be established forever. The king that faithfully judges the poor. All right, that's why it says that Daniel told him, it may be a lengthening of thy tranquility, man. All right, Ezekiel 18 and 5, and then skip to 9, and then skip to 16.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 18, verse 5. But if a man be just, and do that which is lawful and right, and have not eaten upon the mountains, neither have lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel, neither have defiled his neighbor's wife,
You read verse 5? It said, but if a man be judged and do that which is lawful and right, but keep going.
and have not eaten upon the mountains, neither have lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel.
Yeah, skip to verse 9, huh?
Should I go to verse 9?
Yeah, skip to verse 9 and then read verse 16.
This is Proverbs chapter 18, verse 9. He walketh in my statutes and hath kept my judgments to deal truly. He is just, he shall surely live, saith the Lord power.
This is who's gonna live. Read verse 16.
Verse 16. Neither have oppressed any, have not withholden the pledge, neither have spoiled by violence, but have given his bread unto the hungry.
But have given his bread unto the hungry, man. All right, go ahead.
But have given his bread to the hungry, and have covered the naked with a garment.
Exactly, taking care of the poor. Tobit chapter 4, verse 15. And read 16. Wait, 15, sorry. Tobit 4, 15 to 17. And then you stay in Daniel 4 and 27. In fact, no, you just read that. Ecclesiastes 5 and 8. Ecclesiastes 5 and 8. That's it. Done after that.
That's Ecclesiastes 5 and 8.
Yeah.
4 and 15.
4 and 15 through 17.
October 4 and 15. Do that to no man which thou hatest. Drink. It says, do that to no man which thou hatest. Drink not wine to make thee drunken, neither let drunkenness go with thee in thy journey.
It says, do that to no man which thou hatest, meaning that you shouldn't be doing to other people the things that you don't like. Right? That's all throughout our scriptures. Go ahead.
Give of thy bread to the hungry, and of thy garments to them that are naked.
Right?
And according to thine abundance, give alms, and let not thine eye be envious when thou givest alms.
Said according, because I brought this out to brothers before. They were saying you ain't supposed to give to the wicked and the da 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 da. It says in accordance to thine abundance give alms, meaning what you can give, you give.
Sufficient.
What's sufficient for you to give, you give. All right. And it says, give of thy bread to the hungry, and of thy garments to them that are naked, man. All right. Read verse 17.
Pour out thy bread on the burial of the just, but give nothing to the wicked.
Yeah, exactly. Pour out your bread on the burial of the just. You see just people dead, you give money for their burial, man. But if you see the wicked, you don't give money to the wicked for their burial. All right, but when we're dealing with the homeless, how can you know if a person is wicked or just if you don't know them?
Exactly.
You gotta just give to them, right?
Because even people that are righteous sometimes do wicked shit, man.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Like David.
Damn shit. Number one example, man.
A man after the Most High's own heart. As it says in Acts.
Right. That was it. That was something.
Moses too, man.
Yep. Bloody husband.
Read Ecclesiastes 5 and 8 and then that's it.
This is Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 8. If thou seest the oppression of the poor and violent, perverting of judgment and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter. For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they.
The Most High regard his poor, man, as needy. All right, when we see the oppression of the poor, the oppression of the needy, the oppression of the fatherless, the neglect of these people, we know that these things happen, but we also know that there's a one that's higher than the highest one in the earth, man. And that's the Most High. And he take care of his poor and his needy. He gonna deliver his people. He gonna deliver the poor. So with that, we say, Call Allah, how about Shemal Shah?
Allah Yahweh Shemal Shah.
And Shalom, Makari, how about Shemal Shah Barakatam?
Shalom.
Shalom.